Testing, testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. All right, everybody, welcome back to another test. Well, not another test, but welcome back to another Friday night live stream. Totally messed up that intro. And a ho, 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 and a Merry Christmas to everyone. So this isn't the Christmas live stream, but as you guys can see, we have been decorating, making the shop much more festive in here. And to boot, super excited, so excited. It's got that big, nice, heavy, flaky snow snowing outside right now, outside the shop. So, yeah, I'm in heaven.
You can see it at the baseboards a little bit, or
Maybe.
the lack thereof.
Maybe, yeah. No, yeah, outside, it's one of the big, heavy, fluffy snows. So, super excited about that. I hope that keeps up. I'd like to not see any green grass for quite a while.
He stopped mowing. He's like, it's going to snow any day.
Yeah.
Like 2 months ago.
Yeah, 2 months ago I quit mowing, so I kind of want the grass to be hidden now under about 2 foot of snow. That would be great. So anyways, so as you can see, I've got some things laid out here before me. I just got back recently from a class in Goshen, Ohio, where I taught a bunch of forged luminaries, if you will, different types of candle holders down at Goshen, and that was a really great class. Had a lot of fun with the guys down there. In that class, we ended up making this chandelier here. A lot of you have seen this. There's an actual there's video that I produced on this on YouTube, so you guys can check that out if you haven't seen it. Now, we made a variation of this, which we're going to play with tonight in class as well. That didn't require a forge weld, and it's just a two-armed, chandelier there. So that was pretty cool. And then, of course, you all know that we made this thing previously. You can go camera number 2, Jess.
Sure can.
Oh, we actually made this little deal in the last week's the last live stream that we did 2 weeks ago, or the end of November live stream. And so we made some of these in class as well. And it's a cool little lighting feature. So yeah, so that brings you up to date. So we're going to be working on something similar this evening, and then we might be working on some Christmas blanks, and who knows what we'll get into. It's a bit of a mix mox. I just wanted to have fun and catch up with everybody and have something to forge as well. So it's been 2 weeks and too long since I've gotten to talk to everyone. But let's go to camera number 2 one more time, Jess. Where is that candle snuffer when I need it?
Over here.
Yeah. All right, move that away. So this is what we're going to be working on this evening. This is a simpler design. Obviously, you don't have to have a forge weld in it, so you don't have to have any experience in forge welding. So this is mainly just spreading material and being able to roll it up, a little bit of taper work, some bending and twisting. So quite a bit of fun to make this. This was the variant that we made in class. We went ahead and made this one first before we went after the much more challenging one there. And so I do plan on making an actual video on this as well for YouTube, just so that way we have it in perpetuity. But we're going to take a play this. Well, we're going to play around with making one of these this evening. Make another one of these, I should say. Good? Go back to main cam.
All right.
How's everybody doing, Jess?
Let's see. We have, Dana says our Christmas stickers are on the way. Okay, good. I was just wondering about that.
Right on, Dana.
Today.
Thank you.
Daniel Crawford is here. James Anderson says hello from Utah. Jeff Woodring.
Hello, hello.
The Gaming Ham wishes us a happy Halloween.
No happy Halloween. Merry Christmas, son. Merry Christmas.
And at the beginning of the stream, Stephen Watkins sent a $5 super chat, said, let's start this off with a woot woot. Happy Friday, everyone.
Woot woot. Happy Friday indeed. Happy Friday indeed. So the stock we're working with is 29 inches long and 3/8 inch in diameter. So just by the way, just for FYI, for those of you who are trying to follow along at home.
Perkonia is from Poland and said they have enough snow there now to build a 6-foot snowman.
Woohoo! My kind of way to be. I will heat that up.
Beautiful Savage says hello from Alaska.
Hello from Michigan.
Rocky McMahon is from Iowa. Niels Agrin from Sweden.
Hey, Niels. Good evening? Early morning?
Midnight.
All the way from Sweden? I'm not sure what time it is in Sweden right now.
Xavier Sontag says happy holidays, Roy.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy holidays back to you as well.
Richard Hazel says hello from Belper in the UK. We have lots of international people here tonight.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on. Good to have you all. Good to have you all here in our little corner of the world. I mean, you know, people say that, but it's not really a corner.
Yeah.
Our large peninsula of the world.
Yeah, there you go. I guess maybe it kind of counts as a corner because there's nothing beyond.
Well, there's
but
plenty
water.
of things
Well,
beyond.
beyond the water. Yeah, okay.
The little peninsula of
Logic
North
didn't quite follow
America. There you
through.
go. A little peninsula of North America called Michigan.
Yeah, dude says, I love this. I made a menorah a few years ago.
Very cool.
PJ says, are we making holiday toilet spoons?
No holiday toilet spoons, sadly.
David Lee says, hello from Colorado. We could use some of that snow.
Be good stuff. All right, honey. This is all heated up.
All right.
So let's go to the anvil if we can.
Okay.
All right, so for this first portion, I'm actually going to forge on the horn of the anvil, and I'm going to work up to the end of the candle cup that we're going to end up spreading out. We want to have about 1 inch of material stuck over the anvil, or roughly 25 mil of material stuck over the apex of the horn of your anvil. I might go into that in a video at a later date. So we're going to go ahead and forge up to that. Oh, sweet, beautiful Olga, how have I missed you? I've been gone. This is actually the first time I've gotten to get back to smithing since I've been gone at class, so. So this is nice to be able to just come back here and use a really nice anvil. No offense to Goshen's anvils. They just can't compare to Olga. All right, obviously I worked that down to black heat, but hopefully everybody can see what I was doing there. So basically I'm thinning down or wasting a bit of material. I'm making a waste in this material here, leaving about 1 inch nub on the very end, or 25 mil on the very end. This I worked down to roughly 1/4 inch round, or 6 mil round, if you will.
Rob Huff says, had fun with one of the anvils at class. He chose poorly.
Yeah, I chose poorly. So one, the anvil was too low for me. And two, it has a dead area on it. So it actually has a place that the anvil was repaired because the face has come unstuck, or the weld had come unstuck. And so it's got a dead spot on one area of the anvil. So
Where it just doesn't rebound nicely.
it doesn't rebound at all. Man, what a workout that was to work on that thing. Not a bad size anvil, but nowhere close to being as heavy as Olga here. So I'm a bit spoiled. Let's go to the anvil.
All right. Jamie says, bringing in a ruffling house.
Heck yeah. Or a Holland anvil, 1,000-pound anvil. I could take one of those too. That's probably got just enough mass to make me cheat on Olga. Just enough. All right, I just smoothing that up, taking a little extra time while it's hot just to planish out some of my hammer work. Can they see that okay?
Yeah.
Is that all translating out okay?
Yeah.
Good.
It's good.
Now we'll heat that end up and spread it out. Questions, Jess? Comments?
Sure. Hammerstein 2 says, well, I don't think my homework's going to be done. Tonight I'm watching smithing, baby. Tobacco-free catfish says, so as of September this year, I have actually been a blacksmith. Yesterday I made my first bottle opener, and I was wondering where you buy blacksmithing steel stock.
Very awesome, first off and foremost. If you're living your dream, proud of you. I'm glad that this is your first year and you can say, I made it. And then next year you'll be like, I don't know if I could do this, but I made it. And the third year you'll be like, I made it. And then the fourth year you'll be like, hey, this ain't so bad. And then the fifth year you'll be like, I think I can make this thing happen full time, forever. See, that's the way it works. So stick with it. To answer your question, where do I get my steel from? I was buying my steel brand new from Alro Steel up in Alpena. I have since stopped doing that, and I'm driving 6.5 hours one way down to First Street Recycling in Dayton. Big shout out to them. They're not a sponsor of the channel, but they dang well should be because they're amazing people. They have been a sponsor of me for my entire smithing career. Back when we lived in Dayton, Ohio, I got it from the scrapyard there. I don't care if you live 12 hours away, they're worth the drive. They are. So Rodell and John and Victor and all those guys down there at Dayton First Street, amazing, amazing folks, and take care of you all the time and really, really shoot squarely with you with prices and things like that. They don't try to jack you around at all. So, you know, you go in there, it's consistent. They help you find stuff and get the steel that you need. So, really great people. So that's where I go. I haven't found a place in Michigan to go that would be a scrapyard that I could buy from or go into that would have a steel department. I was told about one that was like 3.5 hours to the south of me. But if I'm driving that far, I'm going to go to a place that I'm going to put the extra 3 hours in and drive to a place I've been going for over a decade. So, yep. All right, let's go to the anvil. Great question, by the way. All right. We're going to take the flat of our hammer here, and we're going to create a flat. Then we're going to flip it over. We're going to use the peen of our hammer just to the off side of center on both sides. Then we're going to come back to the center, grab more material, and we're just working this out to the outer edges. I'll have to get some more heat in that. I think this stock has a little more carbon in it. This might not have been mild steel. It was scrap steel, so who knows. But there you guys can see. We're starting to spread that out.
It's like a fishtail.
Like a fishtail, a big fishtail.
Brian Keeling, you're welcome. He said, thank you for the Instagram likes. Means a lot to me to give me more motivation. Yeah, you're very welcome. Yeah, we encourage anybody who is on Instagram, if you make one of our projects from a video or blanks or anything like that, definitely give us a tag. You know, we make sure to check those out frequently also. Yeah,
tag us. Shout it out. It not only helps us as a little small business there, but it also helps you because we like to promote people like that.
Brian Parker says, evening all, always good to catch the Roy and Jessica show.
Hello, hello. Let's go to the anvil.
Okay.
We're looking for a nice even thickness. And once we achieve that, we're going to call that good. There we have it.
Good.
So the side that you've been peening out, I make that the inside of the cup. It's never going to get seen. The side that's been laying flat against the anvil this whole time, you can see how it's nice and smooth. That becomes the outside of the cup.
Jim Hoops says, after making 100 leaf keychains, what would be the next level project for learning / practicing skills?
Leaf hooks. Let's see here. Towel rings, fire pokers, hooks of all kinds, fishtail hooks, scrolls. Work on things that have scrolls. Even if you're not good at traditional joinery and you got to tack weld stuff together with an electric welder, make up some little scrolly design pieces, things like that. Things with repeating elements, and just start adding those together. That would be my suggestion for you to tackle. Usually when you're done making like little single things where you just make a thing and you cut it off and you turn it into a keychain or whatever, you want to move up to stuff like bottle openers, useful items, right? Bottle openers, hooks. You can still use your same leaf motif, but then turn it into an actual functional item, something that you can use, or that's something that somebody else can use quite a bit of. All right, let's go to the anvil.
All right.
Great question. All right, I put a little block in the anvil here, and we use the cross of the peen, and we're just going to start this rolling, just like that. Hopefully you guys can see the curve here. And now I want to hammer just behind that and start compressing this cup closed. To a degree, you can do quite a bit of stuff cold on these if you're just diligent to take your time and not rush it. So there you have it. We rolled that right up. Look good?
Yes, it does.
Cool. We'll have to adjust that rim just a little bit using a bic. That's a small, it's basically a cone mandrel that fits in the hardy hole of the anvil. It's another hardy tool, and we can dress it up around the tip of the bic here.
James Anderson says, going to attempt doing some collars for the first time on a project this weekend. Any pointers?
Yes, before you start, practice on some separate pieces. So practice your fit up, your layout, the length of collar stock, test piece. Do that first and foremost before you move on to your actual project. You'll be glad that you did that you got the practice in and had all the oops and things falling and whatever. You'll be glad that you took the time to have test pieces made. So that would be my advice. Other than that, there's nothing to it but to do it. Let's go to the anvil.
Okay.
Stick this down on here. Just going to true up that cup a little bit. Good enough for me. Can't see it from my house. Brush this up real good. And then I'm going to let that one cool down. Let this end cool down before I go on to the next one. We'll let that cool down and naturally, and then we'll move on to the other end. You guys can see how it turned into a cone.
Yep.
See that really good?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's an elegant way of making a candle cup. All right, I'll set that off to the side here.
Okay.
And let her cool, let her cool.
Lance Caudell says, how can you tell it might be high carbon from forging?
Experience. So mild steel will go a lot further with the same amount of energy put in because it doesn't have as high of a tensile strength to it as, say, like the high carbon steel. And tensile strength is probably not the correct word for that. More like compression resistance, if you will, or abrasion resistance. Mild steel doesn't have a very high one of those. So whenever you take the steel and you heat it up, you've got mild steel, and you drive that mild steel out on the anvil there. You can feel the pliability even down once it gets super dark in color. It still has some pliability to it. With higher carbon steel, you start feeling that rebound of that anvil coming up through the hammer almost instantly once it dips below a red in temperature. You just start feeling it rebounding more, and you're having to put a lot more hammer stroke into it than what is necessary. So that has some more carbon into it. For all I know is it could be high carbon, it could be medium carbon steel. I don't know. It was scrap steel. So it's a mystery steel and it's cheap. So that's what we're using. The important thing is to notice that if you do notice the telltale signs while you're hammering on it, say before you get too far into a project. In this particular project, it's not critical. But if you're going to be welding this to something, it might be nice to know whether it's high carbon steel or not, because high carbon steel it's a little trickier to weld high carbon to high carbon. It's just a little trickier. It's not that much harder, but it is a little bit more trickier. So it might be good to know before you get too far into your project and realize, say something like a hook, you're planning on drilling it afterwards, and find out that you can't drill the sucker because it's hardened up because you quenched it in your quench tank 500,000 times, right? Or something snap off all of a sudden because you decide to cool it rapidly, right? If you start noticing and you're like, you know what, this is really tough. Am I that weak today? Maybe just go give it a spark test and see if it has like really vigorous sparks. If it does, it's high carbon, and depending how far you are in the project, you may or may not want to pivot at that point.
Yeah, dude, ask, do you find cold working steel is prone to cracking?
Steel or mild steel? Just mild steel, iron? Cold working is fine. Everything has a limit. So mild steel, you can actually cold work a lot. You can go a lot further than what most people say you can do, right? The difference, so cold working mild steel requires you to anneal the piece. So you got to heat it up and let it cool. It's got to get above critical temperature, and it's got to cool slowly over time. So I call it annealing. Really, it's normalizing. You have to let it sit and just air cool down to room temperature, and then you can go back to hammering on it cold. You know, it's obviously going to be a lot tougher to do that versus working it while it's hot, but there are certain finishing applications where you'd want to take and work mild steel cold and not be hitting it while it's super hot, like in chasing work. Hot chasing can only take you so far, and to put into final details, you have to do it cold, and you can really manipulate the surface of the material quite readily. So yes, mild steel can be worked cold. It's not like high carbon steel. If it's high carbon steel, that fracture point, that band or that range of stress that you can keep imparting into it is a lot narrower than like with mild steel. If you think about it in like bands of time of what you can do with it. Mild steel, you might be able to continue to whack on cold mild steel for another 200 hammer blows before you would stress it out to the point that it might crack, hypothetically speaking. And as where high carbon steel, depending on its carbon content or its alloying agents in it, might only be able to work 20 hammer blows before it cracks, right? So just think of it as like bands of time that you're allowed to work with. At least that's how I think of it. You're quiet over there. Questions,
Yes.
comments?
Granddad says hello to my wonderful Hammerhead family.
Hello, hello, Granddad's Forge. Rob, good to have you.
Konya says, even if I make something that's not from a blank, but by inspiration from you, should they tag us?
Yeah, definitely.
Brian Keeling says, I have ordered a few flowers from you. Can't wait to put them together. Going on 10 months myself.
Awesome, awesome. So to talk a little bit about tagging us in posts, I like to see what you all are up to out there. I like seeing your work. I like seeing people that I've inspired to do something, right? to create art, to make beautiful things, right? To forge. I like to see your craftiness and your handiness, right? I love seeing that. So if you want to tag us, go right ahead. Tag us. If it's something that you've come up with original, but you were originally inspired off of something else we had done, maybe one element of it or something, sure, tag us in it, you know? Give us a holler. I'd love to see what you're out there doing. You know, the only posts I don't appreciate people tagging me in are posts where they're trying to win something at somebody's Instagram giveaway, where they're like, tag 10 friends and send this spam email to 50 of your closest relatives and stuff like that. I hate those. That's a good way of getting blocked from ever getting to send me any other messages ever in the future or tagging me in the future. So it's a good way of me just muting you, because those are just annoying myself. That's why I don't do those. I don't do giveaways where I'm like, oh, you know, you got to pee in a cup and give me your mother's maiden name, and you got to go over here and take and donate blood, and you got to show yourself doing 57 jumping jacks, and you know, here's the carrot, jump, woo, jump. You know, I don't do that for that reason. Those really annoy me. So, but if you want to show me something that you've made or that you've been creative with, yeah, no, definitely tag us up. Love that. What else?
Tim O'Connor says those flowers are great. Glad you think so.
Glad you enjoy them, Tim.
Harold Hotchkison says hello from Texas.
Hello, Harold. Oh,
Jim
a lot
Q.
of familiar names.
Yeah.
This evening.
Jim Q is joining us from Michigan also.
Jim Q, hello.
Yeah. Paul Fontanini, hello.
Paul, hello.
There was a slight debate going on in the comments whether or not bottle openers are actually needed anymore, because most of the caps are twist off now. But it seems like they were saying that craft beers were needing still a bottle opener.
Yeah. Bottle openers, in my mind right now, bottle openers are more of a gimmick thing. They are something that is a good thing to practice forging exercises, right? Slitting and drifting a hole, that's usually part of them. They're a useful thing, and then you can kind of get decorative with the handles, right? In different shapes and things of that nature. They are generally like groomsmen gifts. That's a popular way of selling them, where you might stamp somebody's wedding date and they can hand them out as like door prizes for a wedding, or, well, I don't know, what do they call those? They're not door prizes.
Gifts,
what are they?
Yeah, like groomsmen gifts.
Yeah, like groomsmen gifts, I guess you will. So it's more along the lines of something that is, it's more of a gimmick, you know. It's what do you say? It's like something that someone will stuff in a goodie bag kind of type thing with other stuff. So that being said, don't bet the farm on making bottle openers, right? Just don't bet the farm on making bottle openers like you're going to make a living making bottle openers, unless you get connected with a brewery or something like that that uses bottles that aren't twist tops. You know, if you can do that, then great. You know, come up with your own flair, your own marketing style, and, you know, comb your hair to one side and wear skinny jeans and get some tattoos that you don't know the meaning of, and you're right in there with them.
Tim Cunningham says he sells quite a bit of bottle openers because of the breweries by him. Yeah, if anybody's located out by, what is it, Traverse City, where they have like all those little vineyards and stuff, yeah, stuff like that's perfect, because that area is there's a lot of that.
Yeah, there's other stuff like corkscrews, right? Corkscrews. That's still very much a real thing with wine bottles, right? So if you live around vineyards, think vineyard type stuff. Wine bottle racks and things with grape leaves on them and hooks and just you name it, right? There's all sorts of different interesting things that you can do around that industry. It'd take me all night to explain them in detail. You know, I mean, there's a ton of stuff out there. So you kind of need to research what's in your local area or the area that you may be going and selling at. So, you know, say if you're going to go sell at, say, a place like Traverse City, there's a ton of wineries around that place, right? So that makes sense to try to sell your wares over there with things around wine, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of supposed fancy people over that way. So you can charge quite a bit of money for said wine accessory. So yeah, that works out really good. Mm-hmm. But you know, if you live in, I don't know, like, you know, if you live like middle of Iowa, maybe wine is not your thing unless you can find a market space for it online. You know, it just kind of know where you're at, know what you can do with that way. But yeah, bottle openers, they are, that could just be debated, because you're going to have people who will say, yeah, they're great, man, they're my hottest seller. That's somebody who's found a market space for them. Then you have other people who will just tell you, oh, you shouldn't even, that's not even worth your time making. I made up 50 of them and never sold a one. You know, it's hit and miss with those things. There are no sure bets in smithing for sales or anything else like that.
Tim O'Connor says, for beginner projects, you can always come back to hooks and more hooks.
Yep. Hooks, hooks, and more hooks. Hooks, hooks, and hooks, and more hooks, and hooks, and hooks, and hooks, and hooks. So, you know, really, if you're just getting started into it, say this is your first year smithing, maybe this is your, I would say you're still getting started into it 3-4 years in. You're not a seasoned vet at that point. You're still getting started into it at that point. And with that case, like when you're there, you just need to be making things. Make cool stuff. Don't necessarily worry about it being the right thing to be making. Just be making something, right? Make a bunch of coat hooks. Make a bunch of repetitive items, right? Make things that challenge your skills, right? Make things that challenge your skills. I met a guy one time, and he had been smithing for, I want to say it was 30 years. And in all 30 years, he did nothing but make split crosses. That was it. That was his thing. He found something he loved to make, and he thought of almost every kind of variation you could do on it, and he just loved making split crosses. And that's okay. You could do that, you know. There's room for blacksmiths anywhere. I mean, he would give them away, and he'd sell some, and whenever he demonstrated with split crosses or whatever, that it was his thing, right? He was just into doing split crosses. So some people that might be bottle openers, some people that might be hooks or coat racks or whatever. Me, I couldn't do that. My brain has got to work on new complex things. I can't just do the same repetitive thing over and over again. It drives me insane. So let's go to the anvil, Jess.
All
it's
right.
good and hot.
That's right, Robert. Make it, post it, and move on.
Make it, post it. Make it, post it. Questions?
Sure.
Got to keep up with me there, beautiful.
The Bachmaker says toilet spoon hooks. Yep. You can make a hook thing with
toilet spoon hooks. Some people are living in the past, aren't they?
They are. They really got caught up on that. See, Tim O'Connor says bottle openers and hooks actually teach a lot when you stray from just doing the shape. Yeah, there's a lot of variation. Stephen Parsons says, well, what if you hobby it for 14 years? What's your advice on that?
What if you hobby it for 14 years? Advice on that? What advice are you looking for? If it is your intention to keep it as a hobby, keep it as a hobby. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want to go into business and you want to start making things professionally, that's all about marketing and finding the right products and being able to reproduce your results, right? So if that's the direction you're wanting to travel, then, I mean, that's certainly the way to take and go, right? You just have to figure out where you want to go with it. There's nothing wrong with never becoming a professional smith to any degree, or even getting to the point where you can sell your work. Some people purely do smithing for the pure enjoyment of smithing. That's it. One doesn't have to come at the cost of the other. And what I mean by that, for those of you that are trying to turn it into a business, you don't have to let the business portion suck the life and the joy out of the forging portion. Go back to the main cam.
Okay.
So, you know, the business part, you have to get in a certain amount of orders. You have to get out a certain amount of orders every month in order to keep the light bills on and keep the thing turning. If that sucks the joy out of it for you, you shouldn't do it professionally because you're not passionate about it in that way. You should just stick to doing it as a hobby. Find something else, you know, to suck the joy out of your life, if you will. But you also don't have to exclusively do it as a hobby in order to enjoy it. So those are not, you know, interlinked there, right? Like they're not like an either or sort of situation. What you'll find is you'll have people that are you'll meet people that no matter where they go in life, that place of employment is horrible. The boss is horrible, the people are horrible, everywhere is horrible, but they're the shining star. Chances are they're the problem in that situation. No matter, they get a new job, they're all excited about it. I got this new job, it comes with benefits, it comes with the company car and a credit card and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And 6 months later, they hate the boss, he's a jerk, there's a thing, and it's this and it's that. You know, it's human nature to complain about the things that we have to do that are tough in our life, right? The repetitive, monotonous things that is this circle of life, this hamster wheel that we're on. Blacksmithing, you'll have those days too. Forging, you're going to have those days. There's days I don't want to get out of bed to come out here and do jack diddly nothing. Isn't there? Mm-hmm. And it's a fight. It's a struggle. But I get in the shop and I'm like, kind of curmudgeon-y like, and I light the stuff and I turn on the lights and I'm like, ah. But you know what? Then I get to smithing and I start to feeling better. And I just like it and I enjoy it and I just love, I love what I do. So that's me. That's not necessarily, you know, the business sucking the joy out of smithing. I'm the turd in the situation. Mm-hmm. It's not the company. God didn't make the shop any smaller. God didn't, you know, the fire isn't any more hot today than what it was yesterday, right? Or whatever. Those are all just me making complaints about life because I want to be a lazy butt laying inside, right? So if I wasn't doing this professionally, if I worked somewhere else, I'd be doing this as a hobby still. Every day because I enjoy it. Something I enjoy to do.
Tim O'Connor says, "Oh my already," and he sent a super sticker of a laughing pear.
Laughing pear. Oh my. Borderline rant, huh?
Yeah. Athol Ironworks sent a $5 super chat, said, "That's great advice. I destroyed my love of working on cars by going into the business of car repair."
Yeah, your perspective shifted. Your perspective shifted, right? You can keep the love of working on cars and you could do it for a living. You just have to be self-aware that you are the problem, not working on the cars is the problem. It's the attitude and your perspective about things that is the problem. You're still working on cars. Mm-hmm. Right? If you know how to work on cars, when your vehicle breaks down, I doubt you're driving it down to the mechanic. Right? You don't hate it that bad, right? But you can let your own perspective point suck the joy out of everything you do. Or you can see the beauty in everything you do. That's your daily choice that you have to end up doing. It's very difficult to do that. Let's go to the anvil.
All right.
So I'll give a little bit more insight on that too, just because this is something that I've personally struggled with in my past, right? I used to do heating and air conditioning work. That was my original vocation. I used to install furnaces and air conditioners and chillers and you name it. Anything that have to do with refrigeration or HVAC. And I got to a point where I hated everybody and everyone that was connected to the industry, including myself. I just did not like it. I didn't want to do it. I had many conversations where I told Jess, like, you know, I don't want the rapture to happen and I be still stuck in somebody's basement somewhere, right? Like that's, like, I was just like, that would just be hell to me, you know, to do that. And since being away from HVAC work, I have a new perspective because I'm not living in it. You know, I'm not in the trenches of it. And I can see a very clear, distinct pattern that I had going from one HVAC company to the next, to the next, to the next. And that pattern always started on a high note. I was glad to be there. I was making more money than I did at the previous place, right? You know, I had some fancy new truck. I got nice uniforms. I was whatever, right? Felt like a prized employee, right? Because I've got this job now, you know, and I'm doing good. I'm going to be able to support my family, blah, 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 blah. And then slowly but surely, I would start getting with the curmudgeon-y guys. Maybe a few of you are those curmudgeon-y guys. And you know, and they're the ones that are sitting back there, oh, the boss, he wouldn't let me take vacation. Oh, he's such a jerk, and you know, and this and that. And you start hanging out with that sphere of influence. Mm-hmm. And then you become one of those guys. Out of nowhere. It kind of starts affecting your mentality in the way that you look at the job. You're like, well, you know, I mean, I was going to take vacation. You mean he didn't allow you to have vacation? You got 35 years here? Well, that means he won't let me have vacation. You know? Well, maybe Jim was a jerk to the boss, and that's why the boss is like, no, Jim, you're not going nowhere. You know, good luck. You know, because he's looking for a reason to fire Jim, but maybe he likes you. But you start putting that in your mind, and you start thinking negatively, and all of a sudden, the place where you work's not good enough anymore. You don't like it. You hate your day job. You know. You hate the other people around you, and really you're just waiting for that moment to crack, right? You're just waiting for that moment to jump off and move on to something else. And this was my cycle, right? So you have to watch the circle of influence that you have around you, and you have to do that even in forging, even in this industry, blacksmithing, because you can have somebody who comes in wild-eyed and just like, oh, blacksmithing, it's amazing, and fire, and you guys, and we're doing stuff, isn't this cool? And you can have them pair up with a dude that's like, settle down, whoa, youngin', right? You got the old curmudgeon-y guy there too that has to tell you the way it is, right? And how he was the guy who had to forge his life away, right? And how horrible it was to do so. And then all of a sudden, you kind of you start taking on that identity of, okay, in order for me to have seniority in this, once I get a certain amount of time, I become the curmudgeon-y guy, right? Mm-hmm. I become the guy to tell the next guy and go, pop his little bubble about how the real, how real blacksmithing is done, right? When there is no such thing. So be careful of your sphere of influences. It's very important no matter what industry that you're in. Because you'll have people, I've literally seen this, where you've got a guy telling people right off the bat, because he couldn't make it as a professional smith, that there's no money to be made in smithing. I've literally sat back and laughed at that. Because, it's just new guy, like, hey, I was wanting to get into this and do it I was wanting to get into doing blacksmithing because I think it could be fun. I think I could do it for a living. And the guy was like, whoa, 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 whoa. There's no money in smithing. There's no money for that guy in smithing, but the rest of us out here are making bank.
Pretty sure you've been told that directly.
Huh?
I'm pretty sure you've been told that directly several times.
I literally have. I've been told that to my face, that there is no money in smithing. Meanwhile, at that particular time, I was making 75 grand a year doing smithing. And I was like, good to know. I'm glad there's no money in smithing. Like, that guy must need a lot of money in order for it to be considered money. Right? I don't make 75 grand a year now, but but I'm also not working 97 hours a week either. So now I'm only working like 67 hours a week. So at least it's not 97.
Rowan Maxwell says, should I start selling forged work before I can make work that compares with other smiths, or should I wait until I can make better work?
Dangerous game. Don't ever compare your work with other smiths. Be happy where you're at, market appropriately, according to your own skill level and what you feel is right. The market will decide what your work is worth. Do not compare your work with other smiths and other tiers, because my work right now is far beyond what I was when I was at year 2 in smithing. My work is far beyond when I started selling stuff at year number 3 in smithing. And so, I was selling things at year number 3 that nowadays there's no way in heck I could ever let that leave my shop. I've got pieces in my scrap pile better looking than what I was selling at year 3 in smithing. So do not compare yourself to other smiths in their work. Oh, that's going to sound like a dad thing, like I'm coming down on you. It's just a very dangerous thing that you're never good enough, right? You'll get that ideology that you are never good enough and you can't succeed. You'll have other people who try to gatekeep, right? They'll try to gatekeep, say, well, that's not good enough to sell. Says who? Says who? If you can sell something to a customer and they're happy and it serves their purpose. I've had a customer complain because my work was too smooth looking. They didn't like that it was forged so cleanly. They literally sent it back and I had to beat the ever-living tarnation out of it with a ball peen hammer in order for them to be happy with the job. Something I would never do. Never do now. Those type of jobs I don't even take anymore. If somebody wants something rustic, nope, I'm not your guy. I'm not your guy for that. But I'm kind of in that privileged position right now that I can say no to those sort of things. When you're first getting started, you're going to find those people who are looking, who've been told no by this guy, right? Who's looking for work that is rustic, right? Which is right down your alley, if you're just getting started. Because let's face it, you're just getting started. Your work's not going to be top end. So don't ever compare yourself to another. Don't compare your work to another smith. Stay in your own lane and enjoy what you do and use it to bless others. If you could do that, you'll be fine. You'll have many, 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 many years in the craft, happily in the craft. So, all right, Anvil. I'm getting on a few rants this evening, though.
That's all right.
These are things that I feel strongly about, and frankly, I end up taking heat over by some of the older generation sometimes. because they think that I'm advocating for that you don't have to do good work, right? But that's not what I'm doing. What I'm advocating for is you've got to give yourself time to get to the point where you can do good work. No smith that's smithing today that you look up to came out of the womb with a hammer in their hands. Period. None. They would like to get you to believe that they did, but trust me, they did not. They started with sucky looking items just like you did. And chances are, sometimes those guys are still making those sucky little items, and they don't want you cutting in on their supposed turf, right? So, you know, so again, consider your sources and watch your sphere of influence around yourself.
Yep, Thomas, time makes you better.
That's it. If you want to get real good at this, take classes, get training. It's like anything else in life, right? If you want to get real good at this, you need to take and get education in it. Take classes with quality instructors. Spend your money there. You won't regret it. And then put in the time. Hammer, anvil, time. Hammer, anvil, time. Say it with me. Hammer, anvil, time. We're going to start all sorts of these little chants until people get the concept of what I'm putting down here.
Tim O'Connor says, we all share our ideas, copy mine but make it better. Seems to be a general attitude in this community. Besides, there are few new ideas.
Yeah. There are basically just about everything that you can do has been done at some point in time, probably in the history of mankind. So, you know, my only thing to add on to that is if you're doing something that you directly learned from someone else, you are stealing their legacy if you do not mention that person. And I will say that because I've had that happen on multiple occasions to myself, where someone's taken a direct copy of something that I've made, not that I was the originator of it, even asked me questions about said thing, so I know that it was a direct copy. I helped them out, and then when they went to go make the item, they forgot all about old Roy there, right? They forgot all about mentioning, like, hey, my mentor or my friend, right? Like I would consider these people my friend, right? Or whatever, right? Or maybe a protege or something. And that just kind of just went their own route. And, you know, as soon as people were like, oh, wow, you're a genius. You're so amazing. They're like, I know, thanks. I just came up with this thing. When you do that, then I got no respect for you, no love. So there's no love if you do that to people. So I still take time to acknowledge the people who got me started in certain things. Like, for instance, Tom Latney got me started in decorative chasing and steel. And I will always mention that man's name. Even if he hates my guts someday, I'm still going to mention that guy's name because he was where I got my start with that. So you see that decorative hammer I did a few months back that I took to Quad State, that won People's Choice, that whole thing, I wouldn't have got there unless I would have started with Tom Latney. So there it is. I'm giving that guy, by me remembering him and mentioning his name long after he's dead and gone someday too, I'm preserving his legacy of him putting energy and effort into people to teach them, right? Mm-hmm. So if you have somebody show you a cool trick, take a moment to remember who showed you that neat trick. They are probably not the originator of it. But if we all remembered who was the originator in our own lives, we can preserve that legacy going forward, and you can have this history of craftsmen passing down to craftsman to craftsman to craftsman to craftsman for decades to come, which the smithing community is meant to be a caring and a sharing community. I like SOFA's slogan on that, creative and friendly, right? Their whole thing was to take and remove the gatekeeping. This is originally what they were founded on. Remove the whole gatekeeping that had been a thing for many, many years and centuries prior to that, where, if you're not part of this cliquey little group, you learn nothing about smithing. So their whole thing was creative and friendly. We're open to everybody, right? And that's the way the smithing community should be. But it doesn't help when someone's making something fancy and you go make an exact knockoff, get praise for it, and never mention where you actually, got that. People start getting weird about that, especially when you're on social media and maybe you get 10,000 likes on a post and their original post only has 3 likes on the same thing, right? If you're just popular. Oh.
Hey, Tim. Big Dog Forge says, hello, my friends. How is every little thing?
Who?
Tim, Big Dog Forge.
Tim, Big Dog Forge. Good to see you, brother. Merry Christmas to you and yours. I hope you're doing good. Miss you. I miss seeing your videos. We need to get you back to doing on the daily or something, so I can binge. I need something to do this winter.
3 a.m. Forge, welcome to the Bellows Boy.
Hey, thank you so much. By the way, I don't remember if I've been saying it good enough. Thank you to everybody who's donated so far in the stream with the super chats. I do appreciate those. They are going to come in a lot of handy come the Great Blacksmith Christmas giveaway, which is in 2 weeks. On the 17th of the month, right, Jess?
Yes, that's correct.
Good, so.
Yep.
Questions, Jess? Comments? Follow-up complaints?
None of those yet.
No complaints yet?
Tobacco.
We should throw one of those in every now and then. Somebody with a complaining session.
Yeah.
Like, I hate your face.
That sounds like a miserable live stream.
What's that?
I said that sounds like a miserable live stream.
What, answering the haters?
Yeah.
Oh, I got plenty of fun comments I could say now. 'Cause I'm all mature like.
Troll Wall of Flame.
What's that?
Bring back the Troll Wall of Flame.
Yeah, Troll Wall of Flame. While I wait for that to cool down, I think I'm going to... This was one I started in class, but I didn't finish, so I'm going to go ahead and bend out these little hooks.
Okay. Rob Huff says, a friend of mine asked why I take classes with Roy. It's because I'm always working on tools and stuff, and Roy's classes are often small items. That's why it's not something I typically do.
Thank you, Rob, for that review. He could have went a lot darker with that.
Corey Shire says, hashtag Roy rants with lessons for a happier life.
Yeah.
Big Dog says, it's good to see you too.
Yeah, I think about things a lot. I mean, obvious, everybody should think about things from time to time, but I don't know, maybe I have more time to think than the general populace. I do have this fortunate position to work from home, to work for myself, to do the YouTube and stuff, and I try to think of how I can sow into other Smiths' lives a lot. I think about that a lot. And so it makes me sound all wise and old sagey, right? But, the truth of the matter is everything that I speak with any sort of authority with is stuff that I personally struggle with. Stuff that I've struggled with in the past. It's things that are meant deeply, that have deep meaning to me, right? And I know that there's other people who go through those same things, those same emotional roller coasters in the craft, right? Mm-hmm. I do, or in life in general. So, because at the end of the day, I'm not that unique. I'm just like you. I am. We're all human. We're all human. We all got baggage. We all got our own messed up places in life. We all got skeletons in our closets, you know. Some skeletons in people's closets are bigger than others. Some skeletons are real in people's closets.
Real skeletons.
Some people have real skeletons in their closets.
We don't want to know about it if you do.
Yeah, if you do, don't mention them here. We are not an accomplice to anything. Oh. But sometimes I feel like it's helpful if people, if you can have somebody just state it, you know? There's a lot of people like to pretend like, you know, they've got it all figured out. They know all the answers. I don't like to be one of those people. Questions, comments, complaints, concerns?
Yes, let's see. Frank Strock is joined us just a little bit ago.
Frank, hello. Good to have you.
Perconia has to leave. He's meeting up with his wife.
All right.
Tim Cunningham
Have fun.
says people are messy. Yes, I like to say that too.
Yes.
Are very messy.
People are very messy. Because we're all people.
Jeff Killian said a little earlier, was happy to be a small part of your November blank sales.
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, we should go over that. So thank you, Jeff, for being a small part of that. Thank you for being any sort of part of that. So for those of you who don't know, at the beginning of November, right, we announced it at the November 1st live stream that we did, that we were going to take a portion, we're going to take a bit of the proceeds that come in from any blank orders that have come in throughout the whole month of November, and we were going to donate it on behalf of the blacksmithing community to the St. Jude's Children's Hospital. And so throughout that whole ordeal and that whole month, we were able to in total be able to write a check from the blacksmithing community. That's our community here on YouTube and the people who have purchased blanks with us. We were able to write a check for $629. $29 was it? Yeah, $629. So thank you everybody who participated in that. That was super awesome to do that. I hope to do something bigger next year along those lines. Yeah, and just continue to kind of extend the outreach just beyond the blacksmithing community, you know, a little bit. So super excited about that. So thank you everybody who got a part of that. Next year, hopefully we'd be a bit more, I got some other plans maybe in the works that I want to do, and do a community-wide thing again and maybe get a bit more out there, generosity going. So yeah, so thank you.
Tim O'Connor says, very cool to everyone who bought. And Wayne Heights has clappy hands. Yes,
Yep.
Definitely. Yeah, send the clappy hands for everybody, you know.
Yeah.
Because we had a lot of orders come through, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and that wasn't all that well organized by me. I just threw it out spur of the moment. I talked to Jessica about it earlier. It was just something that was on my heart that I wanted to do regardless. I just wanted to do it ourselves, was just, you know, again, I feel disproportionately blessed in my life, and I just wanted to do more, right? Especially right around this time of the year, you know, what a better time to do that. There's a lot of places out there that are doing their, you know, fundraising drives and other things like that for this time of the year. And, you know, so it was like, it was something I was going to do anyhow. And then I just kind of mentioned in the stream that, you know, anybody to just let people know that that's what we were doing with any orders that came in. So, you know, we're taking a portion of them and just sending them to the St. Jude's there. So, so that was cool. Again, maybe I'll have it better organized next year sometime. We'll see. Might just be spur of the moment. We'll have to see how it goes.
handy for that purpose, huh?
Yep. That's what this thing was made for. I'll have to do some adjusting on that here in a hot minute.
Canadian Necktie said a little earlier he'd like to see Jessica in more videos. Maybe I will.
Yeah, Jessica's going to have to get into some more videos. The thing about Jessica, I know a lot of you guys have been requesting Jessica to be in a lot more videos. We have 3 kids, and she is the sole teacher of those 3 kids that are homeschooled. And so Jessica spends a lot of her time keeping up with our 3 munchkins, trying to make sure that they're educated properly. So she has a heck of a lot less free time on her hands than I do. So that's why, unfortunately, you're stuck with this ugly mug for most of the videos. So occasionally she gets a day where, you know, whether the kids are on break or whatever, you know, or there's a little bit of free time, or they're doing a bit of shop time, learning things about how the real world works, not just in theory. And when they do that, she gets time to be out in the shop, and that's a lot of times when you'll see her in videos. Or other days when I have a day where I've got nothing but editing, I've got a crud ton of editing to do, I'll take over and watch the kids, and then she comes out to the shop. But
yep. And sometimes you cook dinner, you know.
I cook
Go
dinner
out.
a lot,
So
yeah.
You do. I'll brag on you.
Yeah, there you go. I'll take it.
You take it.
I'll take it.
You're an excellent cook.
Thank you. Keep bragging. My ego's not begun to be inflated enough yet.
Not enough. It was the chicken enchiladas you made. I forget how long ago. That was like 8 months ago. That was really good. You did a really good job on those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have any questions, Jess?
Let's see. The Aimless Adventure says, do you like the fly press better than a hydraulic press?
Nope. I don't like the fly press better or worse than the hydraulic press. So my hydraulic press is out of commission because it needs to be rebuilt. It has its purposes. The fly press is convenient. It's here. It makes no noise. I can work at however dark at night as I want, and I can do a lot of work with it at night. A lot of heavy work, if need be, at night, which is nice. So if you lived in a neighborhood somewhere, I wouldn't suggest I wouldn't even suggest maybe a hydraulic press, because you could probably annoy the heck out of your neighbors, especially if you've got a whiny pump. And power hammers can be an annoyance as well. Fly press, no one will ever know that you're there. So no one will ever know that you're forging. So it has its advantages in that way. But tools are just tools to me. I don't have favorites. I don't pick favorites when it comes to that. I have preferences, and maybe my preference might run to one or the other depending on the job at hand. Great question, though.
Tinker at Forge says, have you ever forged a sphere, like a small metal globe or something like that? You got
small metal what?
Metal globe. You've been
Globe?
Globe.
Like a sphere?
Yeah.
I've never had to forge a whole lot of spheres. I forged the balls on the end of leg vices. I've done work like that. That's a spherical kind of object. I've put balls on the end of fire poker, things. That's about it. I mean, I haven't really had the need to forge spheres for any reason. It would be insanely difficult to forge a sphere without doing some sort of grinding, and lots of it. So, and then what are you using it for? So.
You did get, I remember a while ago somebody had come up with a custom order about having a large copper one, but we didn't end up accepting the job.
Yeah, we never ended up getting that job, so. All right. Here. Back here. You gotta stay up the main cam, because this won't actually
Yeah, I tried
show.
switching and then I realized I couldn't see anything in the secondary camera. Wayne Zirkle says, cook over the forge at the same time, LOL.
Yeah. We did do a cooking with Roy, cooking with a blacksmith
Works
show.
better in charcoal, though.
Tastes a lot better.
Possum Sausage says, good evening, everyone. Late to the stream, just now lighting my forge. Been chaos this month with leatherworking.
Possum Sausage, glad to have you here. Welcome to the stream, good sir. All right, I'll get this hot again. Last leg, I'm gonna have to grip it again and go cool off my handle because it's getting hot.
Tinker at Forge says, I don't know why, but I thought the sphere would be awesome to see and well beyond my capabilities right now.
What would be awesome to see?
The sphere, making of a sphere.
Making of a sphere.
Mm-hmm. Trying to get the depression right would probably be the hardest part, because for it to be exactly spherical.
Yeah, I've seen a guy make a sphere before, not necessarily forged. It was a hollow sphere, and the way that he made it is he actually raised up something that almost looked like a really, really deep bowl that kind of went a little oververt, and he made two of those, and then he cut where they would intersect perfectly to make a sphere, and then it was ground, it was welded up and then ground. So it is possible to make a sphere a lot of different ways. There's a lot of different ways that you can skin that cat, so to speak. It just depends on how creative you want to get at it. As far as just forging something from scratch, most likely starting with a square cube and trying to turn that cube into a ball, that's not that hard to do. It just takes time, a little bit of patience, and a lot of fiddly work, and expect to drop it a lot. So, because essentially a sphere is just a cube with all the corners taken off. So basically at the end of the day, so you just forge it octagon, right, in all planes, and then take off those sides and you turn it into 16-sided on all planes, and then you turn it into 32-sided on all planes, and then you continue to knock those facets off until it rounds up and you have a ball at the end of it. It could be a good forging exercise. I get asked about forging exercises a lot, surprisingly. I get asked about them a lot, like as if I do a bunch of forging exercises. I am kind of gotten to a point in my smithing that I save my energy for projects that matter or projects that I want to do. Now, when do I practice forging, if you will? I practice forging when I'm just getting warmed up for the day. I might just hammer a point on the end of the bar, and that's enough practice just to warm the old joints up, and that's it. But I don't go through making a whole extra project just to work or develop a skill. I will just start on a project. So a client could come to me with a print, a drawing of what they want. I might make a couple little test forgings of specific elements in that project just to make sure I've got volumes and my calculations correct, and then I go on with the job. Because I get paid to have the job done, kind of like piecework. I get paid to actually have the job done, not to play around making other things to amp myself up to getting the job done. So that's kind of where I'm at. When you're first starting out, or you don't have a lot of time in the craft, it would be a good idea, a really good idea, to actually spend time doing that. Practice, right? Spend time practicing, messing with stuff, figuring things out, right? That would be a good thing. Because how else are you going to learn? But like this project here, prepping this to go to class, the last time I made a chandelier was 9 years ago, I think it was. and I needed to figure out the materials and stuff for the class I was going to teach and how the lengths that I wanted. So I had just a couple little test forging pieces to figure out what type of stock I wanted to take with me. That would be easiest for the students. And that was all the test forging and messing around that I needed to do to be ready for class. So I don't spend a lot of time doing forging exercises. I guess the closest thing I come to doing forging exercises is when I'm teaching on YouTube. Because the projects I do for YouTube are made to be easier for a beginner to be able to do. There you go, that's coming right along.
Yeah.
With the main cam?
Yep.
That's coming right along. Got to bend those out a little bit. This is just me completing something from the class, so this has nothing to do with our project tonight. I was just waiting for it to cool down naturally. And I got sidetracked. So now I've got these legs. These actual legs aren't exact 120 degrees away from one another. So I'm going to heat this center section up and I'm going to tweak them. Since it's round bar, I can twist them on the flat and get them to where they need to be. So I'm going to do that now. Get those warmed up and go on with my merry little way.
Tim Cunningham says, when is there going to be a unicorn blank? My daughters are on me to make them a unicorn hook.
Unicorn blank.
Yes, I believe
we can make one.
I believe that's on my possible draw list. I keep a list of new designs and stuff.
Well, get on it, girl.
About drawing on.
Well, get
I'm
on
about to explain. We use Fusion 360 to draw up our designs, and when we first started using them, they were free, and then they switched to being paid, so it's like $60 a month. So we pay for the subscription basically when I'm ready to draw up a whole bunch of stuff at once. So probably our next new items will probably come towards the tail end of December into January, because Roy had some stuff he'd like to draw up as well. So, but we'll have to get past Christmas. So, yep.
Unicorn blanks.
Unicorns, I know.
Like just the head or the whole unicorn? Like a full body unicorn?
Yeah.
Or just the head of a unicorn with like a hook?
Yeah, I mean, we could do, a horse could maybe be popular, and then we could cut a few with a horn on it just for him, because I don't know if we want to add unicorns. I don't
Why
know
not?
how
Add unicorns and fluffy rabbits and rainbows. Why not? It all sells for somebody. Somebody has an idea about it.
Well, yeah, I guess it would be very unique. Not too many blacksmiths forge unicorns, so it might be a niche. A niche. Let's see here. Frank Strock says, I'm not sure what female smith did it, but she welded pieces of metal together and inflated it with an air hose. I'm sure you can make a sphere that way.
Yep, I've seen that before. You would probably have to start with some sort of shape that was already conducive to a sphere, because I think you'd run into trouble right on the seams where you weld it together. So you'd have to start with something that was kind of already pre-shaped, kind of like a bowl, and the edges were touching, but it wasn't quite a sphere yet. But the edges kind of came down to touch, and then inflate that more, maybe, and turn that into a sphere. Who knows? I'm talking out my nose right now. I have no clue.
Carl Moore asked, does anybody have a surefire way of keeping a propane tank from freezing up? I had to shut down the forge before I was ready last night. When it froze up, I was only getting 5 psi.
Size of propane tank. What is the size of your propane tank? What is your altitude in relation to sea level? And how many burners or rough BTUs are you running?
Also, you tried the what was that, pipe warming tape or something like that once?
Yeah.
1 year?
You put in my old shop, running all 3 burners would actually cause my 100-pound cylinders to freeze up on my gas forge. And for that, I actually wrapped it with an electric heating blanket around it, and that kept it warm to where the tank didn't freeze up.
Thomas says he would get a couple of unicorns.
He'd get a couple of unicorns.
I was going to say, you have a little boy, not a little girl, Thomas.
Thomas would. Thomas, those are for Thomas. What are you talking about?
Yeah, his own personal stash. He's going to hang them in his man cave.
He's one of them bronies. Thomas is one of them secret bronies.
Stephen Watkins says, my 100-pound tank never freezes, but it only runs 1 burner.
Yeah, you won't have problems at a 100-pounder on 1 burner. You will on 3. Again, a lot of that will depend too as well. A lot of that can highly depend on your altitude, how close to sea level, temperature, outside ambient air temperature. A lot of factors there.
See, a couple of people are saying you can also tandem 2 tanks together also.
Yep. Probably the easiest thing that I could recommend just right off the cusp without having to fix some sort of issue or do anything too crazy is get more tanks. So swap them out. You know, if you're running for an hour on one, try to swap them out once an hour or something like that. You know, if you're working with smaller tanks. If you work with larger tanks, that's your easiest thing to do. You know, get yourself some 100-pound cylinders if you can manage it or swing it. And fit it in your shop, and that'll eliminate a lot of your small forge problems. You know, any forge that's got, you know, that'll eliminate a lot of problems for any of your forges that only have 2 burners or single burners. You'll never frost a 100-pound tank until it gets down to like the last 12 pounds that are in the tank, right? And then it'll start frosting up on you. Well, it'll frost, but it won't freeze up to where you're not getting any pressure out of it, right? Mm-hmm. You want to worry about until the very end of the tank.
Family on a Mission says, in Alaska, we would bury our tanks in the snow.
Insulation. Makes sense.
The Prepared Christian says, dang, that's a big fish hook.
There are some whoppers up here in Lake Huron. All right, I'm going to set this here. This is all nice and hot. I've brushed it. I want to put beeswax on it. But I need to figure out a way of getting this block cut into a smaller size. Well, that was easy.
Yeah.
Okay, hardy tool, probably not the tool to use. Just saying. Learn from Roy. Don't do what Roy does. Learn and laugh at his mistakes, yes. Do what he does, no. Huh. Did I put my touch mark on this other one?
I don't know.
I did. You all were going to let me not put my touch mark on this. Salty devils. What you doing?
Possum Sausage says, question for Roy. Do you ever use gloves? I started out using 2 gloves, quickly dropped my hammer hand glove. After a while, I dropped my tong hand glove for better control, and now I am gloveless.
Using one right now. I use a glove on my left hand almost all the time. If I'm doing power hammer work, I wear a pair of really thick, heavy gloves. That's more for vibration than anything. I'm not worried about heat or scale or stuff. I lost sensation in my hands a few years ago, so with heat and things of that nature, so it doesn't bug me, like gripping of tongs or whatever. That doesn't, rough edges or whatnot. Those things, I don't have sensitivity in my hands anymore. So the glove is more or less to prevent further damage, nerve and whatnot, just by having some padding there. That's kind of my theory on it, behind having a gloved hand. So I will do my gloves. I can feel, I feel pressure, right? I feel pressure in my hand. So I could tell if I have a tong ring in my hand and where it's positioned at. I just don't have the sensation of like fine sensation. Like if you rubbed my hand, I wouldn't know it. So I feel the touch, the pressure if you put down pressure, but anything else I don't feel. So with that being said, you know, the glove is just more or less for retarding hammer vibration coming up. Because even if you're perfect at hammering and you hit, if you're a little crooked, you can feel that jar sometimes in your hand or in your wrist. And I just don't like it. So that's why I wear a glove on my tong hand. But it's not needed. It's not needed completely for that. Teach their own. Brush this up here.
Coffee Studio says Mary Roymus, everyone.
Mary Roymus, huh?
He also says, well, thanks for the info on tanks, Roy.
Take what?
Thanks for the info on tanks.
Very welcome. Mary Roymus there. It's a very Merry Christmas to you, sir. All right. That's good. Now we just got to wait for that to cool down enough and I can put a coat of beeswax on her.
That works. Good evening to you.
Who?
That works.
Hey, that works. Thanks for dropping in. Playing with some simple lighting fixtures here for candles, candeliers. Set this somewhere where it's nice and
Corey
make an
Shire
airful.
says, is natural gas any good for a gas forge fuel? Or is it more trouble than it's worth?
Alex Steele, he had a debacle where he's at, where his shop's at way out in Montana and wasn't getting enough pressure. He was trying to go with natural gas and have it plumbed in, and he couldn't get enough pressure into this forge that he was running. And the biggest reason why he was having a problem is that natural gas doesn't like to flow at those high of altitudes. It doesn't like to combust as well. So that's why propane is usually ran in remote locations up in mountains, right? Versus natural gas. Natural gas just doesn't have as much pressure at high altitudes. So you need a lot more of it, to support flame. So that's all highly complex. I don't really want to get too far into that. But natural gas, let's say if you're close to sea level, or maybe you're 1,000 feet or so above sea level, it should work just fine. Again, it'll depend on getting the correct orifice size in your forge, and it will also depend on your pressures that you need to run things at. As far as like a Venturi burner, something that gets hot enough like a forge burner that needs to kick out that many BTUs, I wouldn't necessarily use natural gas. It's going to be very hard to get it in the pressure that you need. Get it supplied in the pressure that you need to run a super hot flame like a torch with natural gas. So propane was probably going to be better in that situation. So in a roundabout way, it all goes back around. I have to watch how I answer things, because if I say, oh no, yeah, natural gas, it's perfect. Then some dude on top of Pikes Peak, Colorado, trying to run natural gas, and he can't get nothing. He can't get nothing, no heat out of his forge, right? He's got this little tiny orange flame going. He's going to be mad at me, right?
So the two keys there, it was cutting out a little bit. But
Oh,
the
was
two
it cutting
keys,
out?
it's fine now.
Is
But the altitude and the orifice, right? That's
Yeah.
what you were saying.
Altitude, orifice size, and how much pressure you're going to need to run it at. So an atmospheric burner or a Venturi burner that's pulling in the atmosphere in the room to create the combustion, to mix the combustion gas. If you have if you're running natural gas, it doesn't have the same oomph. It doesn't have the same pressure as what you do with your propanes, right? So your propanes can have a lot higher pressure, and so therefore they run better in that situation. If you're running a blowered system where you have a mechanically aspirated forge, you can, like on those, a lot of times I'm running my tank at, say, 4 psi, 4 to 8 psi. That's really low. I could get away with, at our location, because we're fairly close to sea level here, we're only like 1,000 foot above, I could get away with running my forge, particularly, on natural gas. But again, the higher up in altitude you go, natural gas don't like to flow. So that's just a kind of a rule of thumb, there.
Happy
And there's
little thing.
exceptions, and there's graphs, and there's charts, and there's slide rules, and there's all sorts of stuff for figuring that stuff out. And you can just kind of Google it, if you will. Or find a pipe fitter and talk to them. And they could probably steer you in the right direction. What's up?
That Works says, just use coal. I'm a newfound believer in coal.
Haha! Glad to have somebody coming back to the dark side in the dark ages of coal. The great thing about coal and coke, it burns at every altitude.
As long as you have oxygen.
As long as you have enough oxygen that you can breathe, it will light a fire, right? And you can supply it with extra oxygen through a blower and get it up as hot as you like, so.
Tabaka says, would forced air burners work better for natural gas?
Yes, forced air burners will work a lot better for natural gas. In certain circumstances, as long as you're probably not above, say, 2,000 foot above sea level.
Bringer of Change says, would it be faster to use an oxyhydrogen gas for a forge?
A what?
Oxyhydrogen?
Oxyhydrogen?
Yeah, that's what it looks like it says.
Whatever.
You don't know?
You could burn unicorns and make flame. I don't know, man. It's like there's a whole. I mean, I don't want to be a jerk, but it's kind of like there's things that I just don't know, right? Like, am I oxyhydrogen? Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, you could burn the Hindenburg, right? And probably get some metal hot. Do you want to? How cost effective is it for you? Those are all going to be factors.
That Works says, I still use gas for a lot of sword stuff, but for general forging coal rocks, it's ready to go in just a few minutes and solves a lot of forge welding issues and just feels right. Coal is good for the soul.
Love it. Yeah, so, like, there you go, use case, right? He's, That Works is using what they have, all right, and it's called tools. The right tool for the right job. Working, although you might get a sense of nostalgia, working a nice big samurai sword or something in a, with old, whatever they call it, bellows forge, I don't know what you call that little breather box they use, little Japanese used, right? Little square box bellows that they use, and burning nothing but hardwood charcoal, and that may be all well and fine and neat, but a gas forge that has a chamber built to the length that you need for the sword work that you're doing, that has a nice even heat across the entire blade, is just better. Arguably better. There's times to do that nostalgia. Personally, it is not. Gas forges are my most hated thing to forge weld in. I can forge weld in gas forges. I've done forge welding in gas forges. I don't like forge welding in gas forges. It's not my cup of tea. But I'm biased. For a good portion of my smithing career, this forge was the only thing I had. This was my only heat source. A gas forge was priced out of my price range for a long while when I first got started in blacksmithing, wasn't it, hun?
Yeah.
Like I couldn't afford it to buy a gas forge. So
when you finally got one, it was like a little, what they call those hot box forge?
Yeah, it was a little hot box
small
forge that I just happened to luck into, right?
Yep.
Because it was in a shop fire. That's a whole nother story. They burnt their shop down because they had the little forge on a stand that was that tall and they had it on a wooden bench. And then, yeah, it burnt their shop down. So they were selling it. Luckily, it's steel and made of fire brick, so it didn't have no problems at all. But yeah, you know, that's one of those deals where I'm biased, so I cut my teeth on coal forging, and yeah, I love it still to this day. That's what originally drew me to the craft, was the flame of a coal forge, the smells, the sights, right? The nostalgia factor. That's what originally drew me to this craft. Oh, and then of course, I mean, I kind of got into this when, you got to understand, I've been in this for quite a while. So I got into it when gas forges were just kind of something people who had production shops had. Your hobbyists didn't have gas forges. They just didn't. Professionals that had production shops or were doing production items, they had gas forges. Your hobbyists didn't, unless they built it themselves. Because at that time, the gas forges were like, they could have been $1 million because they're just, that's what it felt like. They were like $600 to $800 for a gas forge, and you could, at that time, you could pick a coal forge up, a used coal forge up for, you know, a couple $100. So your average man had to learn on a coal forge. Ah, that's so nice. Look at that. Look nice, huh?
Jackson, hello.
Hello, hello.
That Work says you do so much giving to the community. What do you want for Christmas, bud?
Man, that's a hard one. You put me on the spot. Let's go for the tired response. Peace on earth and goodwill to men. There you go. Really, kind of what I, if somebody was going to take and get me something for Christmas, it would be whatever that they were most proud of. If it's something that come from the heart, mainly. When we do Christmas at our household, we're not real big spenders. We don't go out, we don't spend $10,000 on toys, or we don't have $10,000 to spend. We don't do that. We do a lot of handmade stuff, make cards for each other, handmade gifts, spend time. That means more to me than things, than anything, you know. If I did have a rich, wealthy benefactor that wanted to like put a really nice, like, I can envision a nice bigger power hammer in my shop, you know. It's like the one items that I have, they're one of those things that I'm just going to have to save for and buy at some point in time because they're unreasonable to ask from somebody. So yeah, so I don't know. I guess for anybody who's out there who's trying to think of getting me a gift, a card would be nice.
Okay, I was going to say coffee. You've been wanting to try some
coffee.
Different kinds of coffee.
Yeah, I do like coffee. Beard creams. I'm kind of getting into that. Various beard creams and butters. You know, I don't know. Stuff like that. Generally, when my mom asks me what I want for Christmas or birthdays, I'm like, socks and underwear. Oh, I'm like a...
And then I give her the list.
Yeah, then she gives... Yeah, she gives the list out, I guess. So, but,
yes, Rob, that's right.
But seriously, I'm always going through socks and underwear. I'm terrible on that. A man can never have enough socks and underwear. That's what I'm saying.
No.
Flannel shirts, that works.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if they make them, but like one that was red and green, you know, that would be like super Christmassy too.
Red and green?
Yeah.
Heck yeah. I could take that. Oh.
That works says, what's your dream power hammer?
Ooh. 500-pound Bradley strap hammer. So, upright strap hammer.
Be huge.
Those things are just ridiculously sweet looking. Oh, like, you know, a lot of people want self-contained hammers. I've used self-contained, I've used mechanical, I've used helves, I've used strap hammers. My favorites, yeah, just those. You just can't get over the coolness factor, right, of like a strap hammer. Or, you know, second to that, I used a really cool Moloch, 250-pound Moloch hammer that was, you know, like a little giant, basically, and with a, you know, with the overhead cam on it. And man, you just that old steel, you can't beat how it runs. You really can't. The way they just got such a cool noise to them when they hit. They make a thump that you can feel in your soul. I like that a lot. Versus, you know, the modern hammers, self-contained, they have their place. They have control. I used to think I'd really want one of those. And when I first was getting into it, I thought that the measure of a smith was whether he had power hammers or not. You know, I used to think that, but not anymore. But when I was originally getting into it, I thought, man, that would be the dream hammer. You know, get something like an Ang Yang or a Saymac or a Sandhealer or something along those lines. I've used some of those hammers now. Well, I've actually used all of those hammers. Used Ang Yangs, and you know, they're a bit noisy. And it's just something about that mechanical hammer, the way they just shoo, 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 thump, 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 thump. It's a great sound. Brings joy to my soul. All right, that's done. Well, that treble hook one is from class. Got to fit candles to it. See if that.
Make sure they fit.
Oh, so hot. By the way, I want to take and shout out That Works for anybody who has been living under a rock and don't know who That Works is. They have an amazing channel, and you should check it out. Like production quality that I won't ever get to or achieve. Just amazing production quality, amazing projects, amazing smiths. They're really, really good guys, and great team over there at That Works. So please go check them out. It's okay to leave this stream and come back, and after you've hit the subscribe button over on their channel, because you should. Amazing work. Ooh, we close right off the cusp. Look at that.
Right there? Does it work?
Bam. I got to whittle them just a little bit.
Shave them down.
Bam.
That Works says, I get it. Self-contains may be more efficient, but nothing beats a mechanical.
Yeah,
we are restoring a champion #1 right now.
They're doing what?
Restoring a champion #1.
Very cool.
Rob
Yeah.
Huff says, a buddy has a 500-pound little giant, and that thing thumps your soul.
Yeah, it does. You can feel it in your soul. You really can. It's magical. That's a broken candle. No, it's not. Hey, we won. Woohoo! It wasn't a broken candle. Yeah, I forged a, well, the billet was 37 pounds when I started. It ended up being 30 pounds in the final result. Sledgehammer head on a 250-pound Moloch. And that was a buddy of mine, Joel Worley. He had that hammer. And we maxed that out with a 4.5-inch round. A 4.5-inch piece that was about 10.5, 12 inches long, I think it was. It's been it's been years now, so I forget. But yeah, that thing just thumped your soul. Felt good. It's like, oh. He had to take his garage door. He had to completely deconstruct his garage door and take out the frame, like the header over his garage, right? Like he had to completely destroy the whole front of his shop, cut the whole front end out of his shop in order to get the hammer in because it was so tall, and then had to rebuild everything back. That's how you know you got a good size hammer on your hands. That won't be an issue in here.
No.
Whenever I do decide to move up and I get enough logistics in place, I could put a Gigantor hammer in here.
As long as it's under 16 foot tall.
Yeah, as long as it's under 16 feet tall, I'll be able to fit it through the door. So that'll be the day that all my neighbors are coming over and being like, what is this man got going on here? See cranes out here and riggers and oh, beautiful. Goodness. That one's completed. Look at that.
It is. Looks nice. Are
You
gonna
can't
light
ask
it?
for better than that. Let's go ahead and burn it a little bit. Let's see
Yeah.
what's-
And B-roll.
Huh?
Said and B-roll. I went to the
Okay,
table cam.
avert your eyes, children. Do not do this with a
Oh.
lighter.
They can't see it. Is it too
Good.
cold?
Don't hold lighters next to forge flames. Do as I say, not as I do.
Rob says, bring it out to Kurt's. He's got an 800-pound hammer. I think we're going to try to use it to forge anvils for Goshen.
I'll be sweet. I want to see video footage of that, Rob, when you do. Someone's got to get video footage. I know you're all going to be geeking out like giddy little schoolgirls, but somebody has got to get video footage of that. I think I can think of a next YouTube video. Wick trimmers.
Oh, yeah?
Still not a blade. They're blade-esque, but you can make some wick trimmers. I'm just going to light them on fire. Let them go. Let them go from there.
Yeah. That'll be fine.
Wasting time. Wasting time. Nobody came to this shindig to watch me waste time lighting candles. What is this, a birthday party?
Daniel says, how are the plans on the 400-pound hammer that you have in your head?
They're stagnant as of right now. They were looking pretty good, except steel prices. Then they don't look so good now. They look so hot. I did have most of the steel for it, but I used some of the thicker stuff for other projects, so kind of regretfully so now. Yeah, hindsight, right? 2020. They look like they're pretty close, don't they?
They do, yeah.
Pretty darn even, I would say.
Let's see. I think it was Possum Sausage asked earlier and last live stream, sorry, Keith, if you've ever made brackets that hold oil lanterns before, because that's how he lights his shop.
Yep. I sure have. There you go. Pretty even, eh?
Yeah, nice.
Made it completely 2 different times of the month.
Mm-hmm.
Not too bad. Shall we take them down to the camera number 2?
Sure.
Hard to see.
Down just a fuzz. There you go, right there.
It's going to look so nice.
They do look nice, yeah.
Boom. Something about ambiance in a candle, man. Go, main cam.
Yep.
Sweetness. I think they look really cool. I've got a sweet spot in my heart for like Gothic ironwork and like, you know, old castles and French Baroque ironwork. That's my main focus that I love to work with. And candles look so much neater once they start running and dripping on these. They just make it look so much. They add to the coolness factor, like times 10. Got it? Like when they're all crisp and clean, they just look too mechanical. They look too modern. But then when you make them to where they start melting and they start kind of just running down the candle thing. Like,
So you like the ones that look more like mountains or mudslides than
oh,
actually
yeah.
a candle.
Most definitely. Hand dipped candle stuff, you know, let them burn up. I'm going to have to grab a sack of coal here. Coke, I should say.
Dana says, looks really nice, Roy.
Thank you. Say, even the smoke's cool.
Rob says, it's almost like Roy knows what he's doing. Wink.
I have fooled you all.
So, we're at 6:55, honey.
Okay. We'll grab a sack of Coke here.
Okay.
I'm going to finish off the evening with that twisted thing.
Okay. The
Okay.
twisted thing. Oh.
The
gotcha.
one we started with.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we got sidetracked from. Queen's
Oh,
Circle?
no, I should do this
Yeah.
like Santa, right?
Oh, there you go.
Ho, ho, ho.
Earlier, somebody said Santa has a lot of coal.
Maybe that's what I should change my answer to for what I want for Christmas.
Oh, Coke.
What I want for Christmas is some more stock and steel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Steel.
I want
metal,
bar stock. 1,000 foot of bar stock.
3/4 inch, 1 inch,
Yeah, a quarter
round and
inch,
square.
1 inch square, 3/8, quarter by 1 flat, you name it. Let's do it. That'd be as expensive as a power hammer right now.
Possum Sausage says, honestly thinking of making a candle chandelier for my smithy. 6 or 8 candles to light up the center of the smithy.
Do it.
See, Stephen White says, super newbie here. Just moved metal for the first time on my DIY forge yesterday. Looking forward to trying the gifts that you made last year.
Say that again.
He said,
The last part.
looking forward to trying the gifts you made last year, which I think was
Awesome.
Twisted Icicle. Was it a candy
Yeah.
cane? I'm trying to remember what all you did.
Well, right on. Hello, Newbie Smith. Glad to have you as part of the community. Get involved. Get talking down there. There's a lot of smart people in this stream that can answer plenty of questions for you. All you gotta do is ask. A lot of really talented smiths show up in this stream.
Tinker at Forge says, official blacksmithing term, the twisted thing.
The what?
The twisted thing.
Yeah, the twisted thing. You know, the thing. The thing in the background thing. All right, let's finish this off with this twisted thing. Cold. All right. So I'm going to show you guys how to do this and find the center of this piece by eyeball. I went over this in the class that I taught down at Goshen, and basically I was explaining how you can pre-mark out center on, your bar to try to find the exact center of things. But as soon as you start changing or manipulating the the volume or the cross section that is in this piece, that center line, unless you're really, really good at smithing, is going to shift on you. And even if you are really, really good at smithing, who's to say I didn't add 4 extra blows to this end that I didn't add over here? I wasn't counting, so who knows? So that center line on this piece is going to move. So instinctually, you might think, well, how do I find center on this? Well, I can just measure afterwards. That's one way of doing it, is after you've done all the forging you're going to do, go ahead and measure and find the center point. That's probably your most accurate way. One way I try to discourage against is you've heard people say, well, you can just find the center where it balances, right? Where the piece balances across your finger or a rod on the anvil or whatever. And again, that may be the center of mass for the bar, but that's not the center of the bar. Because if you have more weight over here than you have over here, like a teeter-totter, it's going to lean that side. So you're going to counterbalance by moving your center of mass to one side. So one side could have a bit more material in it than the other, and you won't find center there. So what do? I do the most accurate method possible. I eyeball it. So I'll put this bar roughly in the fire and heat up the rough center of the bar. And I'm going to show how you can correct for any sort of center. And I think this will be really cool. If you learn nothing else in this stream, maybe this will really be helpful to you out there because it's very handy. It's very handy when you're trying to do something like even up tines on a roasting fork, or if you're trying to bend anything like staples, chain links, stuff like that. This is a very handy method of getting the center to line up, to get your ends to line right up. So I'm going to showcase that here in this stream. So if you've tuned out up until this point, this is the point you're probably going to want to watch. And thank you everybody for spending your Friday night here at Christ Center Ironworks. We greatly appreciate it. While this heats up, do you have anybody, real quick, any more questions or comments for a second?
A few, yeah.
You've got a few? Mm-hmm. Go ahead, let's answer those real quick, and then I want to talk about the great Blacksmith Christmas giveaway live stream. Okay. Because I'm super excited about that. I'm super pumped. And yeah, it's going to be a good one.
See, Wayne, GWI Railroad, says the new blanks are awesome. Just got my order in, and I am very happy.
Very cool. Awesome, Wayne. GWI Railroad, I'm glad you got your order in. Glad you're liking the blanks.
One other one, and that's Jeff Killian says, have you ever added some kind of drip plate? Just thinking that if it was hanging and I walked under it, a hot drip of wax would hit my neck. Murphy's Law. Yes.
So this is kind of, I don't want to say, this is a historical representation of something that would have been pre them having drip plates, right? So this is kind of like your Dark Ages, your Middle Ages, right around that era, before they really started coming into doing things like whitesmithing, right? Where they started refining ironwork. So they wouldn't have had candle, drip plates or drip pans underneath like the candle cups. This is why it's a very simple forging, right? This is just something that they would light, and they would have a catch pan underneath it. Or if they were very wealthy, like a duke or a lord, they would even hire servants to sit there and catch the drips as they drip down whenever they were entertaining dinner guests or things of that nature. So this is a very early version. So candeliers came into style before chandeliers. Chandeliers are later. So the terminology of chandelier comes in a bit later. A little bit later on. Generally, they started having more actual arms or branches to them. They started having drip pans because, who wants to pay 18 guys doing this all night long? And whitesmithing became a thing. Forge brazing became a thing. And it gave a lot more artistic expression with chandeliers at that point. So this is like a very rustic, crude thing. This is something you can have out, say, in your shop, right? And have on a hook that brings it out far away from the wall, or chain suspended from the ceiling to make a really cool ambiance type deal. You could hang something like this over a kitchen or a dining room table, and it would be neat. You just might have to put a baking tray underneath it or something just to catch those. And what a cool dining experience. While you're eating that hamburger that you bought at Burger King to that next person, you fancy, son, you fancy. Watching the candle wax drip between the two of you. It's romantic.
Rob, thank you for the $50 super chat. He says, for the great Blacksmith Christmas giveaway shipping funds.
Thank you so much. We better get started on that. We're going to need it. We're going to need it this year. We have got a lot of big items to ship this year. This is going to be a good one. All right, so I'm going to show this little method of finding center.
Okay.
So let's go to camera number 2.
All right.
Real quick. Now, normally I would try to bend this thing almost dead center or exactly in the center. But for the sake of this demonstration, I'm going to bend it really off center, right? To where one leg is definitely shorter than the other. Can we see that? We could all agree with that? To correct for this, okay, in this case it's so off center, I'm actually going to have to push a little bit more around to even get started. But we're going to start working that to where we get enough material standing up there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the short leg, which is this leg, and it goes up facing at you. And when you hit at the apex of the bend right here. And that will start driving the material up off the anvil from here and curling it around, giving you extra material when this straightens out for this leg to catch up with your long leg. So we'll get this hot one more time here, and I'll show you that in actual practice. This takes way longer to explain. We can go back to main cam.
Okay.
We're ready. This takes way longer to explain than actually adjust for and do in real life. Your eyeballs have a great sense of where center is, where center line is. Really do. Human perception, give yourself some credit. Your brains can pick up stuff when it's crooked or it's leaning or whatever, right? So trust your senses when it comes to this sort of thing. But, you know, normally you'd find about dead center on the bar, try to get it roughly, bend it kind of around a little bit until they look close, and you would only have to give this maybe a couple taps to get it lined up right. In this case, I'm showing an extreme weird bend just to show how it actually works, to illustrate it better. But in principle, the short leg goes up because you need to drive more of that material over to catch it up with the other leg. So let's go back to the anvil.
All right.
The secret to this is as you're driving it and bringing it down, don't take it all the way down. Now we can see that gap's not so much, huh? Don't take it all the way down, because once it contacts the other one, if you close up this back, you have no more material you can bring around. But you can see how close that's getting there, right? So I'm going to straighten that up a little bit. I'm going to drive a bit more. By the time we take that bend out, looky there. Our ends are together. So now you're on the watch to see which one's your short leg as you're driving this together. So you'll have to rotate it every so many turns to make sure that you're staying in line. Because whichever leg is up that you're hammering on, it's going to be able to travel because it's not supported by the anvil. The leg that is down is supported by the anvil and it's held by your hand. So there's an anviling effect that's happening so it can't travel or move, theoretically. So you can just go whale, whale, whale all on one side and then your top leg will become your longest leg. But by the time you contact, you're done. You can't readjust it. You have to open it back up and do some kind of funky monkey stuff to get it around. Hopefully that makes sense.
Thank you, Heath Miller, for the $5 super chat for the Christmas Kilt Fund.
Christmas Kilt Fund. That will all be going into shipping, good sir.
I believe, what was it? Was it 2 live streams back? 3 live streams back? If you got $100,000 before the end of December, you would wear a kilt.
Yeah, yeah, 100,000. Well, fine, we'll do that. $5 towards it. Yeah, $100,000 before.
Yeah. I think we're at 40 already, so that makes it 45.
Well, it's got to be before the Christmas giveaway live. Yeah. I'll wear a kilt.
Okay, yeah.
I'll wear a kilt for it. It's got to be $100 grand though, easy. Like easy money, 100 grand. You know what I'm saying?
Wayne Zinkel says, do you ever burn your finger trying to point out something while teaching? LOL. Many
a times. The bad part is with the lack of sensitivity in my hands, a lot of times I don't even know my finger's on fire until it's somebody points it out or it's far too late and I already got to burn. So that is a bad thing.
So
but I've got a fancy little tool just for that.
That you need to use a little more often.
I need to use a little more often. I used to use it all the time. Little pointer finger.
Thing Adams, right, Corey?
Thing Adams. Right there. Bam.
Bam. Alan Murdoch, yes, don't forget to like if you are in the stream.
Yeah, like it. Why not? All right, we'd stay at the anvil.
All right.
Good. Nice and even. Everything's nice and even there. We'll give it a little brush. And then we'll be over at the vise and twist this baby up. Shaboom! All right. Let's talk it out, shall we?
Yes.
Let's talk it out amongst friends, family, acquaintances, confidants. I'm being goofy, I know. But it's not just the caffeine, it's the time of year. It's snowing here. I love it. So excited. All right, so the Great Blacksmith Christmas Giveaway live stream. Let's talk about some of the items that we will be having going to us. So we've got two really great partners this year for the Great Blacksmith Christmas Giveaway live stream that have done an amazing job all year long. You've been hearing their names. You should go buy stuff from them, support them so they can continue to support the way that they do. The first and foremost is Greg and Hobie over at Holland Anvil. They have been a huge supporter, and we wanted to kick off the final live stream of the year where we've given away the 12th swedge block. We wanted to take and actually kick that off with a much bigger swedge block. So we're going to be giving away, given to us by them, for a 143-pound swedge block. So we're going to be giving one of those away. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be epic. I don't know how it's showing up according to Jessica's slideshow here that she's showing there.
Yeah, it just kind of goes at random.
So not only is that going to be given away, in addition, the regular swedge block that we've been giving away all year, swedge block number 12 in the year of the swedge, we will be giving away during that live stream as well. And we also bought a lap anvil from Craig and Hobie over there at Holland Anvil. We bought a cone mandrel that we'll be giving away, and we also bought a drift set, an axe drift set, and I believe those are all made from H13. I'm not sure on the cone mandrel. I think that's ductile, but I can confirm with Greg later on about that. So all of that will be up for grabs at our giveaway live stream on the 17th of December, right? Mm-hmm. Which is
Correct.
2 Fridays from now. So
That's
set your
right.
calendars. Jessica has the information linked up in the description down below, so be there or be square with that. In addition, with all of that, great news about that, which that's amazing. Those are some of the big grand prizes there. We also had Blacksmith Supply Co., blacksmithsupply.com, right? Mm-hmm. They have very generously donated tongs. Lots of them. I forget the count on the tongs, but it's a bunch. Mm-hmm. They're beautiful. So they're tom tongs that we're going to be giving away as well. There are box jaw tongs. There are bolt jaw tongs. There are like these little small, I don't know what you call them, that like hold like 5/16 type tongs, like a little bolt jaw. Beautiful tongs. Awesome tongs that we're going to be able to give away as well. So that's super awesome. And there's going to be a bunch of those to give away during that live stream on December 17th. Then, I don't know if Jessica, I don't know if the picture is cycled through there yet.
It's on the mandrel.
Is it on the mandrel? Mm-hmm. Has it gotten to Jamie Geyer?
It did, yeah.
Okay,
Twice.
so Jamie Geyer down at Goshen, Ohio, the place that I've been doing all the teaching for and things just outside of Cincinnati. They decided to donate this year as well to their Great Blacksmith Christmas Giveaway live stream, and they donated a butcher block brush, some...
are they Kevlar?
Yeah, Kevlar gloves. They did that, and then they also they also donated, I have to go look at the brand because it's that evil word that I don't like using in my shop that often, Iron Mountain Flux. So they thought it would be cute to give me flux to give away for one of my live streams. So Jamie Geyer, great guy. If you're interested in blacksmithing classes, he's getting world-class instructors come in there all the time and teaching. And I'm not saying me specifically. I'm saying he's got guys like Brian and Ed Brazil coming down there, the Herschel House brothers for doing like flintlock stuff. He's got a lot of stuff going on and good plans for next year. So if you want to get a part of classes next year, you need to contact Jamie. And I believe his contact email's somewhere, right?
Yeah, it's on the videos where you've taught classes there.
It's on the video.
It'll
in the
also
live stream, it
yeah.
will actually be linked up.
Yeah.
If Rob is a mod and he wants to link up Jamie's, if Rob's here still,
yes.
if you want to link up Goshen's thing or Jamie's contact email in the chat, that would be great. But yeah, so a lot of awesome stuff. There's also a few, we've had a few email communications with a couple other people who wanted to take and get in, send us something to give away. We haven't got that nailed down just yet. So those will be included too whenever they come in. Also, Jessica
Yes.
is going to have 2 aprons, custom aprons, that she's going to be giving away in that stream as well. That she's got that laser engraver that we got, that little Niji laser engraver.
Yep.
And those will be customized afterwards. So with your logo,
Yep.
shop logo, name, anniversary, whatever. I don't know what an emoji, whatever could be put in computer and done laser, right? Like that's,
Yep.
so she'll work that out with you after the, after the Christmas giveaway live stream's over with. We will also be supplying another pair of another set, 2 sets of tongs that we bought from Ken's Custom Iron. Those will be in there as well. Our last 2 tong blanks to give away for those. And then probably some blanks, some ornament blanks, and you name it. So it's going to be a big stream. Shipping, I think shipping all in total last year for the giveaway live stream was just a touch over $600, I think it was. I think we spent in shipping. Jessica would probably know the accurate math on that at some point.
I can't remember off the top of my head. No.
It was 6 something. It was plus of 6, northwards of 6. And so, any help that anybody wants to do as far as, the super chats and the shipping fund and things like that, those are greatly appreciated for the streams, for us to be able to do that. And of course, your patronage to these fine, companies that have decided to take and partner with us is so cool. When we started doing the giveaway live streams, it was literally just stuff we had. Stuff I had forged throughout the year, just, random bits and bobs of this and that. And it's kind of cool to see how this has evolved over time, and we can use the channel for good, and we can use connections and things like that to bless other people out there in the smithing community, and maybe even provide opportunity where other people wouldn't have had. So are we back on the main cam? All right, we're done with the slideshow. So where somebody else may have not even been able to even start about thinking about owning a swedge block, right? They can get in a stream, and it doesn't require any hoop jumping. All they got to do is sit there and comment. They have to be active, preferably subscribe to the channel would be great, right? And an active member of the community here. Just be in the chat, having merriment and cheer during the stream, and that's it. Your attendance, that's all it's required.
Yep.
And you chat whenever we say that we have something to give away, and we pull one name at random. It's worked up for us for many years now, and it's cool to see this keep growing. And I hope it grows a lot more in 2022. I do. I hope it just continues to grow, and we keep working with other, maybe work with other creators, that have something that they want to give away, right? Or stuff like that. So who knows what God will have for us in 2022. Hopefully it's more awesome things, and we can just keep doing more and adding on. like I said, I feel disproportionately blessed in my life to be where I'm at, and just want to give back. What a better way, you know, it's something I can do. May not be the greatest thing in the world, it may not be the worst thing in the world, but it's something I can do to make a little bit of difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can stay at the main cam.
Okay.
So now for this thing, I'm going to twist it up here. We're going to bite it in the vise. I don't know if people see that okay. Bite it right there in the vise. Yeah. Hoo-yah! You got to give it a little hoo-yah every now and then. I think I did it up here. Yep. Give it a twist. Do, 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 do. Get it in line. I'm sighting down the crack of the vise, the gap in the jaw of the vise, to see if this is in line. Looks like it's pretty darn close. Give it a taste of what it tastes like. Brush her up. Knock it around a little bit. Looks pretty good. So we can go to camera number 2 real quick, just to show that off.
All right.
So that locks the 2 legs together. By the way, this makes a really neat handle, by the way. If you want to do a handle like this and forge weld this onto something like a solid bar stock, it's a neat way of doing a handle. So you just wrap this up, cut or tack weld, cut that off and tack weld it just enough that you can forge weld that in together, and then you just jump it onto another bar of steel. Should use Mr. Thing here. You could cut it right here, forge weld that in together, and then jump weld that onto another bar of steel. And then it's like, whoa, how did he do that? Right? It's just an interesting little detail. That's completely unrelated to the project to hand.
Just an interesting
Comments,
side
Jessica.
note.
I would love to hear some comments.
Sure.
What's everybody think about those giveaway items, eh?
Let's see here. Tinker at Forge says the community is strong in this one.
The community is strong in this one.
Yep. Dana said...
Strong they are.
Dana said, don't forget what I'm sending. Yep. Dana will be providing us with custom stickers.
Yes, Dana is going to be providing us with custom stickers. Dana Maggiore, he's your man for stickers. If he can't do it, nobody can. You heard it here first, folks.
Simeon Belier, thank you for sending the $10 to add to the Christmas fund.
Thank you so much.
Rob says that picture of Jamie is awesome.
It is. So the going joke, Joe McGee was down there and he was saying, he was talking about how every time you point a camera at Jamie, he smiles, right? And he's got him trained like Pavlov's dog, you ring a bell and they start salivating. And so I had to test it for myself, and sure enough, he was doing something. He was gathering the materials to take and give away, and he turns around, and as soon as he sees the camera, he instantly smiled. It was hilarious. He just started smiling. He's like, don't do that. He's like, that's Joe's thing. Don't listen to Joe. Good times.
Clay sent a $30 super chat and says, my 2-year-old Ruben is obsessed with your videos and he'd be very excited to get a shout out. Thanks for doing what you guys do.
2-year-old Ruben?
Ruben?
Ruben, here's your shout out, pal. Oh, good to know that we've got a young one watching, learning. The future greatest blacksmith of the world right there. Up and coming, huh?
Yep. Like you said, the people born with the hammer in their hands.
Everybody say hello to Ruben. Oh. Yeah, he'll be the first generation with a hammer in his hand, right? You know, almost close.
Yeah.
His child will be born with a hammer in their hand. There you go. Let's go to the anvil.
All right.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use a round punch to open this up. Just kind of as my drift. And then I'm going to use my Bic here, kind of knock some of the, make sure it's nice and round. Touch it up a bit. Looking good. If you were going to make a bunch of these, say for your shop or for a house or maybe a wedding or something like that, it pays to set things up in a production mindset. So you would do all the ends at one time. You would do all the bends at one time. You would do all the twisting at one time. You would do all the bending out of the hooks at one time. That way, you have the various items set up that you need in the moment for all 10 of them that you're making or all 25 of them that you're making. You will have everything you need set up in advance. And you can really knock these out very quickly. All right. All right, all right.
Carl Moore says, I'm just short of drooling, waiting for the 17th.
Tighten it up. Tighten it up. It'll be here before you know it. Thank you all for the super chats. Thank you for the support. Thank you everybody for the likes and the comments, the subscriptions. It's actually crazy to me to think that we most likely, right now at our current track, we will be at 80,000 subscribers. Woo! That's a big number. 80,000 subscribers by the time of the Great Blacksmith Christmas giveaway live stream. So that's pretty cool. We might not quite get there, but definitely before the end of the year, we'll be at 80,000 subs, which is, I know that that's just a vanity metric. I look at it a bit different now than when I first got on YouTube. I look at it now as potential outreach, potential reach, right? The more people who know about us, the more people can get involved, the more people start smithing, the more people start sharing. It just works. I just like, I like that so much better. So, yeah, it's very cool to think 5 years ago when we started this little intrepid journey, we started at 0, like everyone else. You know, 5 years ago, and now 80,000 subs. You know, right on the precipice of 80,000 subs, which is both cool, humbling, crazy, whole bunch of emotions with that. Very neat. What does that mean? It means Roy's getting a Ferrari. That's what that means. I'm getting 2 Ferraris. My kids won't have Christmas like forever, but
They can sit in the Ferrari and sing Christmas songs.
yeah. That'll be my next video. It'll just be me like, it'll be like MTV Cribs. For those of you who are old enough to remember that show. It'll be, you know, it'll be like MTV Cribs. There'll be like a soup can of beans being cooked over a campfire in the background of me showing off my Ferrari. As we're living down by the tracks.
Or even better yet, while it's still in the car lot.
Yeah, while it's still on the car lot. And they're running us off. Get out of here, you hobo.
Wayne Zirkle says, good job, Roy, and Jess, 80,000 soon.
That's so cool. Thank you. All right, we can just stay at the main cam.
All right.
So we got lots of bending to do's. Again, it may just be a vanity metric, but it's our vanity metric. That's so cool. And contrary to popular belief, subscriber count does not mean money count. That's not how it works.
Corey asked what you're going to get when you hit 100,000 subs.
What am I going to get when I hit 100,000 subs?
Mm-hmm. Pat on the back.
Pat on the back, another cup of coffee, and film another video. Basically it. Are we at the main cam?
Yeah, sorry, had a one moment there.
Are
We're good.
are you there?
Yeah.
Are you with us?
Yeah.
Is Jessica
With you
present
there.
and accounted for now?
They just went through a little roller coaster ride.
They just went for a little roller coaster ride?
I clicked on the swedge block button, and then we went to the anvil cam, and then we got back to your face. So
Oh, now we're back to my face?
now we're back to your face.
We're back to the important part.
Yes.
My face. Oh. So the important thing, I think, with any amount of growth, no matter what you're doing, whether it's your business, it's a social media account, family, whatever growth you got going on, I think the most important thing is that you grow as a person, but you don't change as a human being. And that has a little bit, it's meant to sound, if you think about it, it's a little bit profound, that statement. You want to grow as a person, but not change as a human being. Too often do you see people who get a little bit of stardom in their eyes or whatever, and they change as a human being, and they don't grow as a person. It just unlocks a new level of idiocy that was already there. They just get worse at something. Or you take somebody who's sweet and nice and mild mannered, and then 5 years later, they've got 4 million subscribers and they're the biggest jerk that you've ever met in your life. Again, they changed, right? They didn't grow as a person. They just changed as a human being. So that's my striving no matter how large this channel gets, right? Because it's always there. There's always that temptation with any amount of, say, success or perceived success or numbers. There's always that temptation to say, I'm better than X. I have now arrived at, right, whatever. You fill in the blank wherever that's at. And that is something I'm very cautious about going forward. Get to 1 million subs someday. That sounds like a cool number, but it also sounds terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Because the responsibility that is there goes up. Right? You got to be on watch. You got to be on the lookout for yourself to make sure you're not, again, to make sure that you are growing as a person and not leaving your roots. You're not changing as a human being, So it's a very tricky balance. And that's something I hope to always keep in balance. Yep. So that's what I'll be doing at 100,000 subs. I'll be reassessing my life. Thanks for asking.
Wayne Zirkle says, do you or have you forged a YouTube play button?
I have not. I probably won't. I don't know. The only way I would do a YouTube play button is if I could actually make it look better than any of these modern examples of YouTube play buttons. So I've seen everybody take their own little takes on it, their own little directions. mine would probably have to just be ornate with scrolls and all sorts of other stuff, because that's my particular flair on the subject. So if I did it that way and I thought it was a cool project at the time, yeah, I'd be game for it. We can just stay at the main cam.
All right.
So no clicky fingers, McGee.
Okay.
We'll get this locked down. Boom. What I'm doing is I'm trying to get this tightened up to where it's in line. So it got a little out of line when I bent those arms out. So we got that back straightened up. What do you think about that, Jess?
I like it.
Does that look like a plan?
It does.
A plan and a half? Or half and a plan?
Looks like it's in line at least. However, you want to answer that.
All right. And now, while I'm here, might as well just add, do it on the side. Touch mark. What's up?
Huh? Oh, none.
There you go. Crafted by a weird looking guy in Michigan.
Somebody said you look very lumberjacky.
I look very lumberjacky?
Yes, very lumberjacky.
I look like a Jackie Lumber?
Mm-hmm.
I've been accused of looking like a Wookiee before.
Well.
You look like a Wookiee. And I'm like, well, I'm not that hairy, but thanks. I try. I do try.
It's quite the compliment.
All right, questions, Jess. Comments?
Yes, super chats.
Well, super chats. There's a lot of super chats.
Thomas Goodamoot sent $5, said started from the bottom, now we're here. LOL, gotta do it like the song.
Yep. Thank you, Thomas. Greatly appreciate that, brother.
Smithcast sent $4.49, said, yep, keep on keeping on.
Thank you. Will do. Thank you so much for that support.
And Simeon Beeler sent $10 and said, super chatting is fun.
Super chatting is fun. Thank you.
And Carl Moore followed that up with a $20 super chat, says, for the shipping fund, with a emoji with cool sunglasses.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. All of you are greatly appreciated. Any questions?
Well, let's see here.
You got or comments?
Yeah, there's some.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
I'm going to let this cool for a second, and then I'm going to rub it down.
Okay.
I'll rub it down. Got to see how close it came to my other one.
See, Sword Silk Screen says 100K subs equals all giddy inside.
Yeah. Dang, I was pretty close. Man.
Close, but no cigar?
Oh, no, I was close. Pretty close. Could have forged it out a little bit more. And that might have been just about, yeah, it's pretty close. I dig it.
Jackson Duno says, right, some of those older videos look like they were forged, you were forging in a Menards shed, LOL.
I could only hoped been in a Menards
it was
shed.
a recycled metal
It was a recycled building, is what it was.
It was eco-friendly, right?
Yeah,
You were
yeah, I was
recycling.
green. I was the original green blacksmith, you know, the OG. I was the OG eco blacksmith. Not by choice, but by necessity. My very first shop, my very first real blacksmith shop, I built myself out of pallets in reclaimed barn steel for it. And it was a little 6x10 shed I built in the back of our yard. And that was my first real blacksmith shop where I wasn't standing underneath a tree.
Pallet shop.
Yep, it was a pallet shop. And I forged in that for 3 years, didn't I, Jess?
Mm-hmm.
Before I moved up to my big shop at the time. That's what I called it, my big shop, my real professional shop at that
10 by
time,
20.
which was a 12 by 20 recycled barn, roughing pole barn that we built. It was originally housing a tractor because at the time, before I got into doing smithing full time, I was doing a bit of farming, if you will. So it was with really ancient equipment. So that's the story behind that. So worked it from the ground up. And now, just over a decade later, I'm standing into a nearly 100-year-old dairy barn. That needs a lot of work. And I'm going to keep building it from the ground up. You know, and keep working on it from the ground up. Trying to keep this old girl standing for another 100 years. And it's 2,000 square feet. So it's a 40 by 50 by 32 feet to the peak. So
bonus
tall. It's
loft.
like 3 stories tall. So
Could be potentially 6,000 square foot if each
yeah,
level
if I put a
had
loft
full
all the way
level.
across.
Yeah.
Yeah, be good stuff. All right, I'll let that cool.
Uncle Buck's Forge says Friday lunchtime special on YouTube.
Woohoo! Glad you could tune back in, Uncle Buck. It is a special time. Hopefully it's okay that I ran over this evening, folks, just a little bit to finish these up. I kind of wanted to get them done. Haven't decided whether I wanted to auction these off yet or not. If there's any interest in them, we might auction them off, but if there's not really that much interest, I think I would rather just hang them in my shop. So I'll end up creating some brackets for them and hanging them up off the beams. So I got, let's see, I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 7 more to go.
Yeah, got a bunch.
At least 7 more of these to go.
Depends if you're using both types.
Well, that's the thing I'm debating about. I really like the double. I like how quick these are to make.
Yeah, quicker.
But then again, the triple. Come on, those are cool.
They are cool.
The triple
yeah.
are.
Right.
I mean, those are pretty neat. But those will require more space
Yeah. Yeah.
than these, which can hang flatter.
Yeah, that's true.
So bigger bracket, but way more coolness. I don't know.
The bigger ones can maybe go in the loft. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Take them up there. So, and for those that may be worried, Roy, you'll burn your shop down that way. Ain't nothing but burning candle wax, and I would be in supervision of it at all times. So, would
Somebody
literally
said-
be for ambiance
Somebody said
on
if you
special
use
occasions.
beeswax candles, they don't drip.
Beeswax don't drip, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I find that hard to believe, but
Beeswax is also a lot more expensive too, though.
huh?
I said beeswax is a lot more expensive too, though.
Yeah, but might be worth it.
Yeah.
It'd be worth giving it a go.
Yeah, I mean, they had those labeled as dripless candles, but obviously that's not true.
Oh, what, those?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. No. Those drip. Yeah, I mean, those made perfect. My math was correct. I'm so happy about that. And the twist is correct.
There you go. Bingo. B-I-N-G-O.
It is Christmas, ladies and gentlemen. It is Christmas right now. When you make a set of something where one was done a month prior, you know, or, well, done a couple weeks ago, and then, boom, you got another one, you can make it, and it lays right down on top of the other one just perfect like. That there is some skill. Oh, yeah. That's as arrogant as I get. Time to roil it in. Now I'll get like horribly burned and disfigured or something. Because
Tim O'Connor, as Roy is dripping his beeswax. Okay, yeah.
yeah.
The beeswax dripped in that case.
Yeah, well, I was just kind of wondering that. He's like, beeswax candles don't drip. I'm like,
It's dripping right now.
well, I don't believe that, but, you know what I mean? I mean, who am I to say? I don't know. Maybe with a regular flame, they don't drip, but flame, liquid, wax, drip, has to do something.
Messy Laura says, I prefer the dripping ones. It can make some cool looking bottle buildup.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You put a little catch pan underneath them, you collect all that wax, and you just reform it into another candle. Waste not, want not. That's a good old saying that we should all learn to adhere to, even to this day. Waste not, want not.
Keith Miller says that's one way to upgrade the lighting for the live stream. Like candlelit live stream.
Yeah.
It would take like
It would be bad
1,000
though.
candles to go off of just candle power.
See, because if I go like, so like if I just shut off the backlight, you can see how much darker it gets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So in order for you to even see the candles and have the ambiance, you know, I mean, we'd have to lose a lot of lights and it would get dark.
You can definitely
Real
see
dark.
I mean, that's not a bad look.
Not a bad look.
That's kind of nice. You can see the the lighted garland better. And
You can
stuff.
see them a lot better.
Yeah.
That'd be good. Go to camera number 2.
All right.
So you get all front light then on this. Kind of gives it that woo. Maybe we'll do that for the Christmas giveaway live, huh?
Oh yeah.
Set the tone.
Yeah.
All heavy front light up front. Cast some shadows. It was 2 weeks before Christmas and all through the house, all through the shop. There was no creature stirring except for the blacksmith beating the ever-living crud out of something. Oh, all right. Well, well, well. We have come full circle, haven't we?
We have. We have indeed.
I have forged. You all have given me enough of your time. Oh, I should probably get off here and let you guys get back to your families and whatever else you're doing for the rest of the evening, unplugging, winding down for the night, that whole sort of things. I want to say thank you so much to everybody who showed up this evening. It means a lot to Jessica and I. Thank you so much for the support. Everybody who's, been purchasing things, everybody who became a channel member, everybody who's, purchased stuff from our websites, right? Things like that, that all goes into this, and being able to, spread that around the blacksmithing community. So I really do appreciate that. I thank you all so much for that. Thank you to to all the companies and the people who are supporting the blacksmithing community. Holland Anvil, Blacksmith Supply. Thank you so much for your contributions for the Great Blacksmith Christmas giveaway. Thank you, Jamie Geyer and Goshen the Goshen Historical Blacksmithing Society, or however it is.
You got it.
Did I get it right? Okay. Thank you for the donations there. I'm sure somebody will be able to make use of their flux. And the gloves and the butcher block brush. That's so amazing. I do hope everybody will join us December 17th. Share it around. Jessica's going to be doing some posting on Instagram. She's going to be doing some community posts here on YouTube, and probably something teaming up on Facebook as well. Please share that around and get people into it, and let them know that there's out there. Who knows who we might even invite that was having a terrible time, right? And just be able to be blessed by spending time with good friends and cheer them up during this holiday season. So, they're friends of the internet, basically, It's going to be a cool thing. We plan on putting on a good show and giving a ton of stuff away. So I hope you guys can join us for that. Yeah. I'm pretty good on that.
Yeah, sounds good.
Was there any final questions or comments that anybody want to do? I just wanted to say thank you.
Dana says, thank you, Roy and Jess, and God bless.
Yeah, and Dana as well. Sorry, Dana. Don't mean to forget you there, buddy. The stickers, that's awesome too. So thank you for those. Is that it?
Jeff Killian says, thank you for a wonderful stream. You are a wealth of knowledge.
Very welcome. Very welcome. Don't know about a wealth of knowledge, but I try.
Bringer of Change says, thank you guys for the knowledge. Smiley face, helping me peel the wig back off of my lack of knowledge. LOL.
I'm just picturing someone being like scalped of their wig, the glue.
Gotta let it in.
Mind blown. Oh, anyways, you're very welcome. Very welcome. So thank you all. So that's it for today. God bless each and every last one of you. God bless your families. If you don't get to attend the Great Blacksmith Christmas Giveaway live stream, we severely hope that you will have a absolute wonderful and blessed Christmas and time with loved ones and things like that this year. And yeah, that should be about it. God bless you all, and have a Merry Christmas. We'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.